Welcome to the Ferris Show on television as we head into the weekend. First tonight, the new political movement defined by country music. We've been telling you for a while about the urban-rural divide in America. Country music, of course, speaks to the rural way of dealing with life, even if you live in the city. And Brad Paisley is out with a new song about the opioid crisis.
It's cold under the mountains, and golden down their pales. If living here don't kill you, the medicine will.
4 in 10 adults in rural communities say they or someone in their family have been addicted to opioids, including prescription painkillers and illegal drugs like heroin. For context, it's 1 in 4, roughly half for people living in urban communities. It is crushing Appalachia. Opioids in other rural areas in Appalachia are the forgotten issue of American politics. Western Pennsylvania, rural Michigan and Wisconsin, parts of North Carolina and Arizona, perhaps Georgia, will decide the presidential election. In those states, opioid overdose is the leading cause of death for people between 18 and 44.
We've had so many family members and stuff die in just the past little while that it's unreal.
I've been in treatment multiple times. I've tried to get this right since I was like 19 years old.
I didn't even have to ingest it. Like real quick, it could be in my hand and I instantly felt better how powerful that grip was.
The opioid crisis in country music, the opioid crisis is described in country music, is far different than the one we see and have shown you pictures of in Skid Row in Philadelphia or San Francisco. That's the opioid crisis you hear about, the junkies in New York's new plan to hand out the overdose reverser Narcan or safe injection sites. But in Appalachia, it's very different. There's no way to escape it. It affects everyone, people at church, people at the grocery store, people at work. And it affects people from every walk of life.
The medicine will, which is the way that we have dealt with the fact that this is the epicenter of the opioid crisis. Where I'm from has been under attack.
I said in Appalachia, it affects everyone, people from all walks of life. It also kills people from all walks of life in Appalachia. As we've shown you, rural America feels under attack in general. You could perhaps link it all the way back to President Obama's line about bitter people clinging to their guns and religion. So it's no surprise that people have fought back every way they know how, including with music. For example, Jason Aldean's Try That in a Small Town.
We'll try that in a small town. See how far you make it down the road. Around here we take care of our own.
You might remember a month or two ago, the coastal elites branded that song racist. Rural America made it #1 on the charts, not just the country charts, but it became the most played song in America. Politicians would be wise to take note, politicians of both parties. Rural America, as defined by country music, is fighting back. Kurt Bardell is here, Democratic political strategist, country music aficionado, and author of country music's must-read morning newsletter. It's good to see you. Andrew Breitbart famously said that politics is downstream of culture. What is the country music culture telling us about politics in America?
I think that's telling us that there's just a very, very big disconnect, Leland, between how the elites in D.C., New York, L.A. perceive problems like the opioid crisis and what it actually feels like in real small towns, rural America. Because as you pointed out in your intro, it's very different in Appalachia, in West Virginia, than it is in an urban area in Detroit or Philadelphia or New York. And that's what's so powerful, I think, about Brad's song here and the video elements to it, which he filmed, literally in the coal mines of West Virginia on location, and bringing to life what it looks like when an entire small town community is absolutely decimated by a crisis like this. And it looks very different presentation-wise than anything that we have seen so far on how people talk about this crisis. And that's what the beauty of country music is. That's the beauty of the storytelling that we see from people like Brad Paisley, that they're able to elevate the conversation and hit it home in a way that cuts through a lot of the political BS we see day in and day out.
Yeah, there's something, though, about country music that now is resonating outside of rural America, right? It's rural values into suburban America in a representation. And that feels to me like a big change from when I was a young kid growing up on country music.
Yeah, I mean, I think we always talk about how if you want to change hearts and minds, you have to meet people where they actually are. And if you're going to try to get people to understand a different perspective, a different way of life, art, music, this is the way to do that. This is what's so powerful about the type of presentation we're seeing from Brad Paisley in these first 3 songs that were released today for his upcoming album, Son of the Mountains, that it is taking it outside of Appalachia so that everybody can see, wherever you live, this is what the lived experience is like for these people right now. And on some level, when you see their pain and you see their truth and you see in that video the anecdotes from real life victims of the opioid crisis, it hits home. It's something that we can all universally relate to.
Yeah, the most famous singer in America right now was a country singer, is no longer. I'm, of course, talking about Taylor Swift, 385 million followers across all our social media platforms. Are we being clear-headed enough in Washington about how influential these cultural figures, whether it be country music or Taylor Swift, who sort of has now transcended country music just into music, how influential these figures are in American politics?
I think it's interesting because for so long, when we have that conversation about influencers and celebrity and culture, oftentimes we think about the lefty activists really in a lot of ways. But here we're seeing the rise, really, in Taylor notwithstanding, of what I think are the blue-collar activists, the blue-collar influencers, and people like, whether it's a Brad Paisley or even most recently the Oliver Anthony, Richmond for Richmond thing, that's something that happened very organically. Also, like the Aldean song, became the #1 song in America, not just in country music, in America on the Billboard Hot 200 chart. It's like that tells you that there's something that's being tapped into.
I want to get you on this because you may have brought us to the intersection, right? Which is a group of people who feel forgotten, both by the left and the right. Sort of that if you go to Appalachia, they will tell you that, right? That politicians from neither side speak to them. That's what a lot of these songs have talked about. Rich men north of Richmond, try that in a small town, and now Brad Paisley's piece.